what Paul's referring to is this road that goes down suffering, is how you grow up, and then you are in tune to the Spirit of God, the voice of God, so you recognize when he's handing you a piece of fruit to bear, to carry, if you would. It says in Hebrews 5 about Jesus himself, though he were a son, he learned obedience by the things that he suffered. Now we always equate that, I think, most of us probably equate it with going to the cross. I think that there was a lot more suffering in Jesus' life. And you might say, oh yeah, when you read the Gospels, they persecuted him quite a bit, almost like on a daily basis. See, I'm taking it even further. Remember how many times he says, I and my Father are one. I only do what the Father tells me to do. I only say what the Father tells me to say. The works that I do, the Father does them, what you see, not me. He's in this seriously tight relationship. And now he's walking by somebody with a broken heart. Or he's blind, knowing full well that all he has to do is go over and do something. But the Father's not telling him to do that. You ever thought about that? How many people Jesus walked by that were very needy people that he was not instructed to do anything about? And yet we're all over the map, calling it good. I don't want to go down. I'm just saying suffering is huge for Jesus when you look at Jesus and the suffering that he went through, the things he wasn't instructed to do, and he didn't. And it wasn't like, oh well, better luck next time. But if the Spirit's not giving us fruit, if Dad's not saying to do it, then we don't. And it's a tough road. Suffering's a big subject, obviously. Jesus is zeroing in on the persecution end of it. John Wesley, if you ever read his memoirs, he writes in his memoirs, my prayers must not have been effective today, for my neighbor did not throw a brick over the wall at me. And he means it. He's not joking around. The story goes with John Wesley. He would go in his backyard to pray, and obviously it was at such a pitch, it was so loud, that when his neighbor would take a brick and throw it next door, shut up! So one day the neighbor didn't throw a brick, and he says, my prayers must not have been very effective today. This is my zinger for you this morning, okay? In John 2, the servants are told to carry the wine. But here in John 15, what Jesus is talking about is the servants becoming the wine. You see, he's walking through a vineyard, and he's saying, you're part of me, I'm part of you, you're connected with me. He's talking about grapes. How do grapes become wine? You don't pray over them. They get crushed. And then the juice, the potential, the possibility of what's in that grape, whether it likes it or not, comes popping out. I call you friends because you're willing to become wine. Not just carry it. You're willing to become it. You're willing to get crushed in the process and become the wine that is necessary that this world has run out of. The third day is the day of the wedding. We're living in that third day where Jesus is just saying, I'm looking for someone who's willing to be crushed, who's not looking for a ministry, who's not looking for an income, who's not looking for all these things that the world, but someone who's connected to me in love, who's willing to be a friend. Not just sing about I am a friend of God, but actually become a friend of God by being crushed. Who's not going to shy away, oh, I'm being persecuted. It's funny to listen to Christians in 21st century America talk about persecution. It's a riot, the things that we call persecution.
Because somebody said something about me, I'm being persecuted at work.
Really? So when's the last time you were in prison? And I'm including myself in this, the nonsense that we call persecution, that produces nothing. It's kind of interesting. We're talking about the Spirit of glory. We spent so much time with the glory of the Lord, but the Spirit of glory, in 1 Peter, the 4th chapter, in chapter 4, verses 12, 13, and 14.
Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened to you. But rejoice inasmuch as you are partakers of Christ's suffering, that when his glory shall be revealed, you may be glad also with exceeding joy. If you be reproached for the name of Christ, happy are you, for the Spirit of glory and of God rests upon you.
Yeah, verse 19.
Wherefore, let them that suffer according to the will of God commit and keeping of their souls to him in well-doing as in the faithful Creator.
So our two P's today, production and persecution, that's what Jesus is talking about. When he talked about his hour, going to the cross and being glorified and all that, it changes the whole imagery, I think, when we read, we beheld his glory. Because we like to think of that as the Mount of Transfiguration and Jesus glowing like a light bulb and all that. We beheld his glory. And that's true. But the glory of the Lord was also revealed. And all of his suffering, when they looked at him, it was like, how on earth does this guy... And Jesus is looking at him and saying, it's for the glory of God is being revealed. We still don't get this stuff. In John 9, who sinned? Nobody. It's for the glory of God. What are you, nuts? A blind guy is for the glory of God? Yeah, it's the beginning of the glory. Look, that's the beginning of the glory right there. A blind man. Now watch what happens, the fulfillment of the glory. That's not the end of the story. It's the beginning. It's the beginning of the glory. Lazarus in the tomb. It says the same thing in John 11. What is this about? It's for the glory of God. How can this guy die? I'm telling you, it's for the glory of God. You got to see more than you're seeing right now, but the glory of God is actually about. You're waiting for the tomb to pop open before, oh, now there's the glory of God. No, the glory of God started way back here at the cross. That's what Jesus, the cross is where he says, I'll be glorified. Well, how is that glory? I don't see that. Nailing a guy to a cross? You don't get over here till you go over there. Yes? It's the road of suffering where the glory is being revealed and you see the ultimate glory at the other end. But Jesus starts way at the other beginning, way at the beginning. It starts with a commitment to bear the fruit that the Spirit's giving us, the Comfort is giving us. He's not just stroking our head and saying, oh, poor baby. No, he's saying, here, I've got something for you to do. Works that were prepared before the foundation of the world, actually, for you to do, to carry, to bring. And when you do this, if you're my friend and you love me and you abide in love, you'll put up with the persecution that goes along with it. You'll actually become the wine. You walk in a room and people get drunk just by being around you. And I'm not trying to be funny about that, but they like being around you. I mean, I know we like to think that we have these wonderful charismatic personalities, and we probably do. That's wonderful. Probably all of us in here are very cool to be around. But what flows from our lives... Keith, you walked in this morning and you brightened up my morning just by walking through the door. I mean that. In John chapter 15, producing fruit and persecution both are a matter of love. If you're not in love, those two things become...
I have to.
No, you don't have to. Jesus makes it clear you don't have to. I'd like you to, because there's a hurting world out there that doesn't know my love at all. They think I don't like them. They think I look at them as sinners instead of sons who have not had a revelation yet of my love. It's a matter of love. Love produces, which is what he's talking about in 15. It also strengthens. Persecution's a tough one, but when you're strengthened by love, it's like Peter's trying to say, it's kind of like you can rejoice. Because love suffers long, that's what Paul says, it suffers long, and it never fails. So,